This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Both renewable fuel processors and oil refiners are trying to profit off the growing market for sustainable aviation fuel and renewable diesel, but high prices for feedstocks like soybean oil has been more of a hazard for refiners, as their most recent earnings showed. These renewable fuel products are a fraction of overall sales of gasoline, diesel and other products, but it is growing. However, demand has helped cause the prices of the ingredients needed, like soybean oil and animal tallow, to rise sharply. Refiners were forced to put off plans for expansion into renewable fuel production, but competitors who specialize in such fuels were able to shift to processing lower-cost feedstocks.
The Biden administration on Monday challenged a federal judge's decision in June to block the Interior Department's pause on oil and gas leasing on public lands and waters, a critical piece of its climate change policy, but will proceed with leasing during the appeals process. The Interior Department aims to overturn the decision of Judge Terry Doughty of the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Louisiana, who said Louisiana and a dozen states that sued President Joe Biden's administration established they would suffer injury from the pause on new oil and gas leases. Those states last week sought a court order from the judge to force Interior to hold an offshore lease sale this year.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Oil prices weakened for a fourth session on Tuesday, on the back of surging cases of coronavirus in Japan and a weak demand picture in Asia, and as OPEC and its allies believe the market does not need more crude. Brent crude was down 3 cents at $69.48 per barrel as of 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time, 16:05 GMT. U.S. West Intermediate crude, WTI, fell 18 cents, or 0.3%, to $67.11 a barrel. Both contracts had fallen for 3 straight sessions. Japan, the world's third-largest economy, on Tuesday extended its state of emergency in Tokyo and other regions and announced new measures covering 7 more prefectures to counter a spike in COVID-19 infections that is threatening the medical system.
India's state-run Bharat Petroleum Corp Limited is scooping up rising volumes of U.S. crude, people familiar with the matter said, as fuel demand in the Asian country recovers and weak U.S. crude prices make purchases attractive. Fuel demand in India rose in July to its highest since April as pandemic restrictions and lockdowns were unwound in most states. The country is the world's third-largest crude importer and consumer. U.S. crude prices have become more attractive for Asian buyers as the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and allies including Russia restrain production. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Gold prices retreated from a more than 1-week peak on Tuesday, as some investors opted for the dollar instead as surging COVID-19 Delta variant cases posed a threat to a global economic recovery. Spot gold fell 0.1% to $1,785.48 per ounce by 14:32 GMT. U.S. gold futures were down 0.2% at $1,785.80 per ounce. Gold is very sensitive to any kind of move in the dollar, and with the dollar getting stronger it's adding some pressure on the metals, said Daniel Pavlonis, senior market strategist at RJO Futures.
Aluminium prices pushed higher on Tuesday on renewed supply worries over power issues in top producer China and shortages in the United States because of shipping delays. Shanghai prices touched a 13-year high while the benchmark contract in London was in spitting distance of the strongest level in more than 3 years, though it gave up gains after weak U.S. retail sales data. China will curb development of projects that use large amounts of energy and have high carbon emissions, the state planner said on Tuesday, a day after data showed China's aluminium output slipped for a third month in July.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
China's sow herd declined for the first time in nearly 2 years, contracting 0.5% in July from the previous month, state media said, after a plunge in hog prices pushed many farmers to get rid of unproductive sows. In year-on-year terms, however, it was still up 25%, according to National Development and Reform Commission spokesman Meng Wei. prices have plummeted in recent months amid an abundance of supply due to efforts by the world's biggest pork producer to rapidly rebuild its breeding herd following a devastating epidemic of African swine fever during 2018 and 2019.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.